It's 5:32. We left at 8 a.m. This is about the 30th or so village we've been into.
At least it doesn't say Peking to perish, which is what the last one said.
But it's just absolutely amazing. Every school has done something. The Red Cross have done masses. Look, history is back. Peking to Paris Motor Challenge. It's just unbelievable. It makes me want to cry every single time. Poor old police and military having to organise us all.
Euphoria is sweet, but you need a touch of vinegar now and then. And the person to go to for that, as she shares her journey with Too Cool Phil Bowen, is Rosie.
Phil and I aren't actually speaking this afternoon. That's because he doesn't let me drive very often, and when he does, he criticises me and nags me non-stop, which makes me feel both stupid and incompetent, although I'm in fact neither of those things. However, I'm not going to let in-car froideur spoil the warmth of our welcome to Kathmandu. Just coming up, we're coming underneath the trolley bus lines in the bowl of the Kathmandu Valley. There are mountains all around, and I remember from last year the level of pollution. It's thick because there's all the Tata buses and bikes belching out huge clouds of black smoke. But the warmth of the people and the genuineness of the welcome is stunning.
Kathmandu's conference centre is the place for our official welcome. Rosie's not feeling particularly welcoming to anyone, not to Phil and not to the Chelsea girls.
Here are the two girls who think the rally is being run entirely for their benefit, probably is being.
The truth about adventures is that you tend to enjoy looking back on them more than you actually enjoyed having them. Now that it's over, Jennifer is enjoying her long, hard day.
Long day though, long day. That's 10 hours. It's a long way. But the scenery in Nepal, I can't believe it's absolutely fantastic. And I have my favourite flowers here that smell a lot nicer than I think I do. Plus enough grass and flowers and things to feed an army.
But Gordon made it. Good for Gordon. Come shock or high water, he got us here. So now we met a man who knows about Volvos. He's got the only Volvo in Kathmandu, the only 122 Volvo in Kathmandu. When we pulled in, he came rushing over. He said, what year is it? And I said, it's 64. Mine too. Do you need any help? So we're going to go home with him.
All you really want is his shock absorbers, isn't
He
it?
said he's got spares.
Maybe you could switch cars and nobody would know.
No, we couldn't leave Gordon, but you never know what he might have in his garage.
In their Ford Cortina, a father and son team, John and Simon Catt, are contesting the lead with a Ford Anglia. I asked what they thought of the day so far.
Lovely, it's beautiful. Very nice. Very friendly people, lovely welcome, all the villagers, all the children out to see us, and lovely countryside to drive through.
And we got a nice picture of the bird's eye view of Banapa. Very nice.
Are we going there?
We've been
We've
through
been
there.
through there.
Oh, that's where
Yes.
we've been, is
Yeah.
it? Right.
Yeah.
Now, what about that last stretch of road down the pass and coming out of Tibet,
It was
past the landslip?
slightly worse than we thought, yes.
Too slow.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good job it wasn't a time section, otherwise you wouldn't have any cars here at all, I don't think. But no, it was the roughest road I've ever driven a motor car on, certainly.
Have you ever felt so far on this rally anything you could describe as fear?
No, absolutely not.
What's the matter with you?
No, it's been great fun.
Less so for the Bull family and the Rover with their struggle through the river to get here. But the mother-in-law, Helen, seems uncrushable. She's focused, as usual, on the local flowers. What's the name of the ones round her neck?
It's the Tagetes. And we were overwhelmed at Banipar. Is it called Banipar?
I think so.
With a picture, a tourist brochure, a little carton of mango juice, flowers, and the mayor said, I am the mayor. Did you go through there?
No, we came through early.
He said, I am the mayor of Banipur. It probably isn't Banipur. and I welcome you from Peking to Paris and a whole lot more like that. We were bowled over why he should turn out in the main square and welcome each car individually and give us water to drink and everything. It was tremendous, yeah.
Crown Prince Dipendra comes to inspect the invaders, escorted by Lord Montagu, whose car broke down 2 weeks ago, and by Philip Young.
It's been a fantastic experience, and I think that we're all very glad to be here, you know, and relax. It's been very good. It's been a great experience. We've got 2 more days of driving to do, and of course these will be very different days from what we've had. And one of the great things is, from the organisers' point of view, we brought you so many.
Yes, indeed.
In 90 out of 96, we couldn't have done better.
Except for mine.
Well, you let the side down.
It's a bit difficult to drive.
Would you like to try it?
Please, sit in it. No, pull it this way.
The Crown Prince is introduced to the mysteries of the big 1927 Mercedes.
See, on this car, the throttle is in the middle, the accelerator is in the middle, and the brake is on the right-hand side.
Good heavens.
So in the morning you have to keep your brain going, otherwise you forget. But it's very comfortable on long distances, but heavy, no power steering, and you have to double the clutch every time you change gear, so but it's all right.
When the royal visit is over, Prince Dipendra takes to his own car, a Mercedes old enough to be on the rally. Lord Montagu's out doing the sights.
Good view of Kathmandu from the great Buddhist temple up on the hill. Now an enormous city. A lot of brickworks here amongst other things, which causes quite a haze. So the monsoon isn't quite over yet, so therefore it's still a bit rainy.
This looks like...
Well, the car's damaged, yes, or somebody was taken ill or something or other.
Oh my, it's a long journey, no?
Pardon?
And this is
Hi, Mom.
maybe the
Hi,
most,
Dad.
the toughest part of the rally.
Yes, well, I think we've had the worst of it. Or there's the next bit is supposedly difficult.
from the camp, halfway between here and Nainital. We camp. And then the following day, we have very rough road and 13 river crossings.
Something like that.
With
Prayer flags everywhere like we saw in China, but of course this is not part of the Hindu religion at all. The reason is this wonderful Buddhist temple, and all that noise is created by a monkey, who seemed to have a complete control of things.
By evening, everyone's checked into the sumptuous Yak and Yeti Hotel. It's early to bed for David and Angela. Their pillow talk is a review of the day.
And then we stopped for a beer. We were allowed to stop for a beer. They managed to get from behind the wheel while we stopped and had a drink, which was most refreshing, and it was a good idea because he was very tense.
I wasn't tense at all.
He just needed
Am
to
I
calm
told?
down.
No, I was not tense.
But he couldn't.
I was very
he
thirsty.
couldn't start and look at the exhaust pipe there because we were just inundated with kids all wanting to talk to us and
I'm wanting money.
observe Dave's teeth. That'll do. Thank you. So we had a really good time there. Get off, you stupid Wally!
We're driving down into tropical Nepal today. The marshals and the time cards are ready, and Lord Montagu is filming the start.
Ready for the first time cards.
Lord Montagu has found a good camera position. He's shooting the start when, all of a sudden...
Thank you for standing right in my way.
Sorry.
Well, it is very early and most of us would rather still be in bed. Who wants to leave this comfortable city? Who wants more adventure? But my plodding Land Rover never breaks down, so there's no excuse. On I go.
We were cosseted in Kathmandu, and the rigours of Tibetan crossing are fading from our mind. Amazingly, in that whole crossing of the Himalayas, we only lost 6 cars. Most people would have bet on far more than that. And some of them have actually reappeared. Now, just how they did that, I hope to find out. I want to catch up with them later.
One of the cars that broke down and hasn't been seen for days is the grand old 1927 Mercedes. To catch us up, its Dutch driver shared an adventure with the Australians in the Royal Rolls-Royce. They dropped out long ago when we were still among the Chinese, but they've bounced back. The word is that they and the Mercedes both got here by sleeping in their broken-down cars till lorries came along.
The next day a truck turned up. When the truck turned up, it came up with the China travel people, who turned around and said to us if we didn't pay $3,000 for the tow-in, they would walk away. And indeed, when we said it was too much, they turned around and walked away.
Take it or leave it.
And they said take it or leave it. So finally we agreed. And for a 19-hour trip on the back of a truck, it cost us $3,000.
When Etienne Wien's Mercedes broke down in the same bleak mountains as the Rolls-Royce, he also got out by paying lorry drivers to truck the car.
And all those crooked Chinese, and all the hustle and bustle we had in getting trucks and getting to the border, it has been more exhausting than the trip from Beijing to Lhasa.
Well, the trucks took us to Choksam, and on that route, Mr. Ma from China Travel twice intervened to try and get the cars taken off the trucks. I have nothing but disgust for that man. Anyway, he didn't succeed and we got to Choksam, but at Choksam it was obvious the trucks couldn't go through the landslip, so they dropped us off the trucks at Choksam and I then proceeded to drive down through the Friendship Pass by myself. And I drove down, keeping fuel in the reserve tank and only allowing a small amount into the main tank. And I drove very carefully at an average speed of just over 2 kilometers an hour down that pass. And the Friendship Pass with this big car was very difficult. You know, 6 inches to clear on the sides on those falls and all those mud and water slides. Twice I got out of the car and rebuilt roads so that I could go through those water slides and managed to do it without bouncing a back wheel, which was what I was aiming to do, so I wouldn't break the spring.
Spirit of 1907.
Yes, I think everyone was very, very surprised to see us.
In the original race in 1907, Prince Borghese had his car stripped down at one point and carried by porters, towed along by oxen at another. But how much trucking do you think you can do and still reckon you will really have done the Peking to Paris?
What we have experienced with those Chinese in negotiations about getting a truck and getting in time and unloading the car. When the car was unloaded, they want to move, or they didn't want to move, they wanted more money, and then they got more money and they want to wait until the next morning again, so they needed more money. It was quite an experience, but it was really a heavy experience. And I think it gives a kind of flavor to the trip, but you shouldn't do it too often. It's really killing.
A little over 200 miles to go today, and it's warming up. Maybe a bit too much for the Chelsea girls in their Volvo.
It's 83 degrees this morning, and it was very, very sunny, which of course it hasn't been until today, and it was rather cool. But now it's boiling. We're going up into the mountains there because Kathmandu's in a valley, and you have to go up in order to get out. And it's looking rather cloudy, so I expect it to pour with rain next, and we'll be complaining about that. My God!
No wonder the girls are sweating.
It really is fairly hot. I'd love to just dive in right now. And I said, yes, you come out with Bill Hart's here and blind, but it would have been nice at the time.
One of 2 railtons from the 1930s sails through the local laundry. If you compare life here with life back in the Himalayas, the people do have it easier, and so do we. One of the Bentleys arrives to pay tribute to our director, Philip Young, holding court at the time check like a cannibal chief among his subjects. The river rolls by, children carry the crops home. Nepal is in no great hurry. But we, of course, in our streamlined Cadillacs are. We've got to find tonight's camping place. It's been a beautifully warm night with rifle-toting policemen guarding us against we don't know what. With her tiny video camera, Rosie is recording her diary.
It's Wednesday the 23rd of September between Kathmandu and the Indian border. We left Kathmandu yesterday morning, very sadly. We had a really good time there. And we drove all day pretty hard along the east-west highway for about 500 k's, and we got to campsite at about 5 last night. It's 6:30 in the morning now, so it's still quite cool. And today we're going to cross into India. Having a really good time. I hadn't realised until yesterday how incredibly ill I'd felt all the way across, really from Lanzhou to Kathmandu, and it's excellent to feel fully fit again. Here is JD, not up yet. It was very, very, very hot last night, and there were more bugs than I've ever seen in my life, more helicopter-sized cicadas and moths than anybody would want to share a tent with.
They're all killers.
Camping's great.
What did you think about the campsite last night, Helen?
Oh, that was really very good indeed. There are 2 drawbacks to a very organised site with lights and things, is that it attracts all the midges and things, and flying insects.
I'll tell you what tickled me. And I can't, sometimes I just can't understand this, but last night we sat in the tent, and 1 or 2 of these, what you might call upper middle class professional people who obviously aren't used to this sort of thing, whinging about the state of the campsite, and I just think it's, I don't know, it's the best. I think it's the best one we've had so far. It was red hot, stinking, steaming hot yesterday all day.
Yes.
And it's a big marquee. There's tables laid out with tablecloths on, dishes of every damn thing you could think of. It was absolutely delicious.
Yes.
It was lovely.
Very.
All right, you had to queue up and get coupons for beer, coupons for Coca-Cola, and they give you a ticket for your tea, but nevertheless it was good. There were a load of chairs to sit down on, there were big fans blowing, and I had the same again this morning. Another chap this morning having a moan saying, "Oh, I wouldn't recommend these, and they've got all the time in the world to do this and that and the other, all the time to set it up, as much time as I need to take it down, and why can't we have a better carry on? Well, I don't know how they come and do like this."
On the road again and onto a startlingly modern bridge, known as the Japanese Bridge but built by the Chinese and never actually finished. There's no proper road off at the far end, just a track. Fingersfield's Jeep is first on.
Just started our last day in Nepal. 3 time sections today. Number of rivers.
I think Nepal's nice. Nepal's okay. The people are nice, they're clean.
Yeah.
They might smell a bit because they ain't quite as clean as they should be, but neither are we. So, I don't hold that against them. But they do make the effort. Yeah. In fact, they make the effort to do a lot of things.
The rocky road has shaken our load up. We stop to repack. We're not far from the birthplace of the Buddha. Think Buddhist. Think calm and serene. Think about being one with all creation. Think of going with the flow. And then forget it. Here come the mad motorists again.
Got a new driver today. It's Rudolph Valentino's the Sheikh.
Keeps my brains in. Nah, this is horrible. We're all stuck behind that Packard, that red car.
Yeah, the Packard's riding very low. Its box is right on the ground.
Yeah, it's not happy.
I love the way the Iranians come right up behind you and you can see you're all being held up by somebody ahead and he's still hooting. There's one of the 3 Aston Martins 2 cars back.
Trying to get by.
The 3rd one has dropped out this morning. He's number 81 ahead of us and he didn't get to camp last night. So it just goes to show however much money you chuck at things, it doesn't buy you success. I love all this rough stuff. I'd be sorry when we're onto the big wide roads. I think this is where we've really got an advantage because the car's so strong and our springs and shocks have performed so well that it gives us a bit of a chance to shoot up the order a bit.
We've got several river crossings to do today. Fords. Let me read you some instructions from our gallant rally director on how to tackle these things. He says, put condoms over the coil leads and plasticine or blue tack in joints to seal the fuse box. Slip the fan belt off. This is one thing you can do that will make a big difference. You don't need a fan in water and it sprays a lot of river all over the engine. You need a lot of revs to make sure water does not creep up the exhaust pipe. Whatever you do, do not stall the engine as water will be sucked right up inside the engine, breaking valves or even conrods. And finally, choose the course when you enter and stick to it. Don't dither, be decisive. Locals may offer advice. Some cars can float in deep crossings, such as the VW Beetle or the Citroën 2CV. You must keep the wheels on the bottom. So if necessary, be prepared to open the doors.
It's a Wolseley from 1965, not as waterproof as he needs to be.
First mistake of the day.
The Bentley Continental breezes through the first of 7 river crossings. Has the Wolseley dried out? Yep, they're off.
Oh look, a water splash.
Oh, come on everybody, get the WD-40 out. Condoms on the exhaust, fuss, fuss.
That's it.
Dan Auteur said morosely to me this morning, oh, I'm going to get to use a condom on this holiday after all, on my exhaust pipe.
Dan? Morose?
Dan, who every woman on the rally would drop their necks for without a question.
I'm not so sure now, you know. I think they've all gone off him.
Why, because he's going so hard to get?
No, because he's not what they thought he was, I don't think.
Could that be male rivalry? Just forget it and enjoy the Nepalese welcome. Nepal seems to be one big welcome. We've had flowers and red powder, now it's the Taru people's way of saying hello. It's a holy dance of welcome.
Welcomes to you.
Welcome.
Yes. We are coming here, welcomes to you,
Right.
this rally. This dance is called in Hori dance in Tharu language. They are Tharu.
At another river, Fingers Phil has to guess where the shallowest water is going to be.
What do you think? Follow the stones. Oh, I was looking straight out there. It's obvious that.
Etienne's Mercedes is untroubled by mere streams. A government van helps Lord Montague with a lift and the Triumph Vitesse with a tow. David Bull's rover does not float. Mother-in-law Helen is coming to the rescue. One of the Holdens doesn't like the water.
I've done this on boats, but not in cars before.
Soon after David Bull gets out of the river, his wife's in trouble.
Now Angela's in trouble this morning. We've been going like bat out of hell. She got the time wrong. We thought we were about 5 or 6 minutes late. We were half a bloody hour early nearly, stupid woman. Now somebody's pulling my shorts right up my bottom.
Bart Reitenberg's Volvo, it's called Kermit of course, has been wobbling. He reckons he's got trouble. There is something wrong with Kermit. It's the front suspension.
Is there a weld in place?
Where did that happen?
In fact, on a very smooth piece somewhere, it just, I thought I had a leak tire. It started to limp. I didn't hear anything snap or what have you. So. Jolijn?
Welcome to Love Elephants with a Mallow Cross.
One more Nepalese welcome. This is the last village before we get to India.